Welcome to Big Dan's Airgun Review channel. Today we're looking at a rifle that was recommended to us by one of our viewers, and that is the Milbro Target Master. Thanks Lewis for the comment and suggestion. This one's for you, mate. So then, let's crack on, and first things first, let's talk about the features of the Milbro Target Master. Starting off at the rear of the rifle, we've got the Artemis rubber butt pad, which feels nice and comfortable to the shoulder. Sure to keep the shooter feeling more comfortable over longer shooting sessions. That's about where the normalities end with this particular rifle, and when we move further up you'll see what I mean. This is definitely not your traditional break barrel, that's for sure. So about 20 seconds in, that's where the normalities end. With the Target Master you've actually got an adjustable cheek piece built into the rifle, which is raised by simply spinning this wheel here and also lowered by spinning the wheel. I personally like this idea because it saves you a lot of them. You have to use a screwdriver or an Allen key to adjust, whereas this one you need no tools. You simply spin the wheel, and as you can see there, it is slowly but surely raising itself into position. So we've already got one wacky feature there, but as I'm probably sure you can tell by my voice, there's plenty more still to come. So that's the cheek piece out of the way. Let's move up a bit. Moving slightly further along the rifle, we've got Milbro's two-stage trigger. As we move to the rear of the action, we've got Milbro's automatic and resettable safety. You've also got a warning built into the side of the rifle, which basically tells you if you're going to have this rifle or own it, do not be stupid with it. Moving further along, you've also got mountings on either side of the fore end of the rifle to fit your own attachments, and also included with the Target Master is a bipod, which is also a locking bipod, which is accessed by simply moving this button up and down, and you can lock it upwards or straight downwards. Moving further along the barrel, you'll also see that the Target Master is also fitted with a silencer. This silencer is also removable, as you can see me spinning it here, is also removable, and the barrel is threaded, so you can fit your own silencer on the end if you're not happy with the one that comes with it. Sticking this on here and sticking the bipod legs down, it almost goes from what was originally a standard-ish looking synthetic rifle to, oh my god, we've got an anti-material rifle or a target rifle. So then, that's features out of the way. We'll now talk about handling, and then we'll see just if it can perform the way it looks and see just how accurate the Milbro Target Master really is. We'll stick some targets up and we'll take some shots with the bipod on and with the bipod off and see which gives the best results. So then, let's move on to handling. So then, how does the Milbro Target Master handle? Well, I won't lie to you, there is a little bit of weight there, so if weight, although bear in mind we do have the bipod, the silencer and all sorts on here, but there is a bit of weight there which could be a concern if that's something that's particularly worrying you. You couldn't use it as a walked up air rifle for hunting really or anything like that if that's a concern. It is balanced quite well. It's fairly central, the weight, to be fair with you, maybe slightly favouring the front end with the bipod and the huge silencer back there, but it's not too bad. Again, that could be worse maybe if you went for a slightly smaller scope on here, but again, you don't really put a smaller scope on this particular type of rifle. You're going to want something fairly chunky on there. This is a 4-16x40 scope that we've got on. But yeah, no, balance is pretty good. Another thing that's really nice, which you may or may not be able to see in the video, is that the entire stock has almost got like a stippling effect going through it, and it's really, it's nice to your hand, and it feels nice against your cheek as well when you raise it up. The adjustable cheek piece is obviously another high point of this rifle. Not many rifles come with these as standard, not at this price point anyway. And again, you can custom tailor that to your own face shape and things like that to get it to feel comfortable to you. But yeah, it's a pretty nice gun when it comes to that type of handling. But let's move on now. Let's go to cocking effort. Well, with this huge silencer up here, it's easy. I won't lie to you, it is real easy despite how it looks. It's got a fairly long barrel as standard, and this silencer acts as a pretty good cocking aid. The only thing that actually takes the most effort is actually bringing the barrel back up. It's got a fairly solid lock-up on it, so you have to give it a pretty quick, not slam, but you have got to click it back up there with pretty positive force. Another huge plus for this rifle, which this is where Big Dan's going to get too excited about his safeties again. It has got the Milbro automatic and resettable safety, which you just do by simply cocking the hammer at the back. Fantastic idea, better than a lot of the premium brands, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's pretty nice. Let's just give the trigger a quick go. There is a slight pull on the trigger. It's a little bit long, it's not too bad. It's a lot better than the Tracker Hunter that we tested before. With that, the little square grooves in the trigger was actually quite uncomfortable to the finger. With this, where it's a lighter pull, it's actually quite nice, it's not too bad. As you heard there, with if you're doing freestanding shots or not unrested shots, the bipod does tend to vibrate a little bit when you shoot, but again, there's nothing to get too concerned about, to be fair with you. But yeah, from a handling perspective, so far, well impressed. It's a nice rifle to shoulder, and you can keep it pretty damn steady when you bring it to shoulder. So then, that's handling out the way. Let's move on to a bit we're all looking forward to, accuracy tests. And as mentioned, we're going to do a bit of a test with bipod off and bipod on, which I'll explain why we're going to do that now. So then, why are we doing bipod on and then bipod off? Surely a bipod will only make the rifle more accurate, won't it? Well, sometimes. With a PCP or something like that, or a CO2 rifle, bipods are fantastic because it helps you keep your aim nice and steady. It will help you hold the rifle steady on a spring gun, granted, but at the same time, spring guns tend to recoil compared to PCPs when you pull the trigger. Usually with a spring gun, you're best off giving the rifle a very light hold so as the gun can recoil and do its own thing, and it'll usually keep your shots and groups far more accurate than if you used to really grip it and rip it and try to contain the gun yourself to try and keep it on target. That won't work. It'll just make the gun buck and kick around all over the place. You are best off giving it a light hold and letting it do what it wants. Because of this, if the rifle is shouldered and just left on the bipod here, because it's a Springer, what's probably going to happen is when that pellet is shot off, it's probably going to bounce or rock back as I pull the trigger, as a bipod will hold it roughly in place, but it's not the same as gently resting the weight and balancing it in your hand. Or at least that's what air gunners will tell you and science will tell you. So then, let's do a little test for ourselves. As mentioned, let's put a few targets up there. I'll zero the rifle in, find the best pellet, but we'll put a few targets up there, and we'll have some shots into a card which I'll mark with bipod, which will obviously be with the bipod on, and see how it does. And I'll do a few more shots with the bipod completely taken off, with the rifle simply rested in my hand. All groups will be done at 25 yards. I would push it further, I'll try to push it further anyway to the 40 yards, but the only slight issue I might have is that somebody has pulled a forestry trailer right almost in the middle of my range. So, let's crack on with the test. I'll do a quick bit of zeroing, I won't waste your time and force you through watching that. And then, as said, we'll do the test, bipod on, bipod off, and let's see if the spring gods are true when they say that spring guns don't like bipods. So then, let's move on. So then, that's the zeroing session over. Turns out the pellets that the rifle liked the best was the Remington Thunder Sport 177 pellets. We've got 6 target cards in total. These ones are absolutely clean and will be the ones that will be shot offhand with no bipod. And the ones with bipod, with poor handwriting written at the top, will be the ones that I'll obviously be shooting with the bipod attached. First group we'll do one after the other, and we'll start off with no bipod for the first group. As stated, we'll be doing 25-yard shots. I'll be sitting in that chair. When I do the bipod shots, I'll have this table put round in front so I can rest on the table with the pod attached. And the target, you can still see the zeroing card. It's over there at our usual 25-yard marker, just through there. Again, I've got to put the chair at a bit of a dodgy angle just so as I can see what I'm shooting at because of... But anyways, moving on, let's put some shots through her and let's see what she can do. So then, first group, bipod off. Then after that, it'll be bipod on, off, like that routine until we're out of the target cards. So then, let's see what the results are. Now we have the bipod on. We're now once again going bipod off. We are now back to bipod on. We've now got the last bipod off group. And now we have the final group with the bipod on. So then, the results of the accuracy test. How do we get on with the Milbro Target Master? Well, with the bipod on, you can see what the people have been saying about springers and bipods is pretty much 100% true. The top pattern was the first one we put through, and you can see there's no real grouping there, to be honest with you. I mean, there's my thumb, or better yet, there's a 5p coin there. There's no group there whatsoever. And we've got the second group here. I mean, we've got two touching down here, but then the majority of them is quite far away. To be fair, again, I've got a 5p coin there. You can't cover it with a 5p piece. So once again, the evidence is there. Spring guns, it's true, do not like bipods. And then this one, I can't really say anything. I think I've seen shotguns group better than that. If you see, one of them was actually completely off the board, off the card, sorry. You can see it's just took a chunk out the edge there. One thing I will say though is, you may have seen when I started filming, it was a lovely sunny day. To its credit, the rifle's credit, or the bipod's credit, it has now clouded over, and although it's making me out to be a liar now, it was actually quite gusty earlier, so we will bring that into account. Here we've got the shooting without bipod groups, and here, if we see, put the 5p down there, we've got two flyers, but again, wind picked up as I said, but I won't put it all down to that. There is some shooter error there as well. But as you can see there, the main cluster, 3 shots straight under the 5p. Got the second group here, exact same thing. Tighter group under the 5p coin. We had 2 over to the right there, maybe that's where I pulled it. Or again, it could be down to the wind. Either way, it's definitely not me needing practice. And then down here, well, as I said, the wind was a bit of an issue. We had 1 shot just above the ball, like the rest of them here. Or just off the bullseye. We had 1 here, but then, here we go. It's not really coming out too much in the video, but the wind is picking up now as I speak. We had a bit of a shotgun across here as well. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say we've done our scientific research, and the guys and girls are correct. Ideally, I would not recommend putting a bipod on a spring gun. When it comes to actual feel when shooting with the bipod, it does tend to jump. When you've got the rifle in your hands, or spring gun in your hand, and your leading arm, you can feel the gun gently bounce as the spring decompresses. On the bipod, you've not got any of that. The control is completely out of your hand, so to speak, where you're simply using these metal legs to keep you on target, and the gun does tend to bounce up and down. As soon as you pull that trigger, it will jump. As you can see here, it's leapt well away from the bullseye on every single group. But overall, yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the accuracy, to be fair with you. Again, sitting down unrested on what later turned out to be a pretty gusty day. Can't really complain too much about that. We had 2 flyers on average. Seems to be strange, there's always the 2 flyers the magic number, but again, you also need to bear in mind that this is straight out the box, completely brand new. This hasn't been leaded in, run in, you name it. These are the first few pellets that have been put through it. We've also taken the time to chronograph the rifle. Not sure if that's coming up at all. We had 1 error with the first shot, so I went up to 11. Out of a 10 shot group, we've got a standard deviation of 11.45 feet per second, which is pretty good, with a maximum spread of 37 feet per second. Minimum feet per second was 765, maximum was 802, and that was using the 8.18 grain Remington Thunder Sport or HN Sport pellets. So again, the numbers are pretty damn good, and again, they'll only get more consistent once the rifle's been running a bit more. It is, as I said, completely brand new at the moment. There's no real twang. I'll say that during the shot cycle. There's no real twang. The only noise you get, I kept the bipod on, although folded up when I was doing the non-bipod groups, so as the weight is the same, there's no deviation in the groups, because of with the bipod off, the gun's obviously going to be lighter. I kept the bipod on but folded up. But the only real noise you get out of the thing is the legs rattling as you put a shot off. But to be honest with you, it's a fairly tame thing to shoot. The only thing that I'm not the biggest lover of is the trigger, but we'll cover that a bit more in the final verdict. So then, let's move on to there then. Let's talk about the final verdict and what we think of the Milbro Target Master. So then, what's the final verdict of the Target Master? Well, if you're after something a bit different, this pretty much ticks absolutely all of the boxes. I haven't seen another rifle that comes in this configuration, which for what we sell, we ask £165 of them. I've not seen anything even close to this. You've got an absolute shed load of kit. You've got the adjustable cheek piece there. You've got the bipod that comes with it, removable silencer, which is also threaded. You can put your own silencer on there if you'd like, take that one off. You've also got the scope anti-creep mounts built into there. So if you've got a mount that's got the pin underneath, you can lock it in there so as it won't slide up and down if it gets loose, which is also a pretty good idea, seen in a lot more of the more expensive rifles. The stock is well finished. It's got a lovely sort of stippling effect going all the way through it, which was nice to touch. Yeah, if you're after something a bit different, but also definitely stands out from the crowd, you should come down and give the Target Master a look, or go to your local dealer and take a look at the Target Master. There is a bit of weight there, but it is well balanced, is the other thing, so you don't feel it quite so much as you'd think. And the other thing is, again, if you want to shoot it with the bipod attached, by all means go for it. You might even get better groups than I did. It might work perfectly for you, but with the bipod actually off, you will lose a bit of weight, and it's actually really not too bad. And again, like I say, I've got a fairly hefty scope on there, but if we're being honest, it does really look the part with a slightly bigger scope. Again though, that's just personal preference. Yeah, it shoots well. You can see the groups here. You've got this one here, the main cluster here is within under 5p. The same thing here, underneath 5 pence. We do have 2 flyers on each one, but again, as you may be able to hear in the background, the wind has picked up quite a bit. There probably will be some shooter error in there as well, but at the same time, can't complain, especially considering that the rifle is nowhere near run in. The numbers are pretty good as well through the chrono. You've got only a maximum standard deviation of 11.45 feet per second over a 10-shot string, which is definitely nothing to turn your nose up over. That's pretty damn good. So yeah, if you're into something ever so slightly different, and you want something that looks like a high-powered sniper's rifle, I definitely recommend the Milbro Target Hunter. However, as I usually say, there is no such thing as a perfect rifle, and every rifle has its pros but also its cons. So if I had to change anything, or if I had to warn people who was buying one about anything, what would I warn them of? Number one, as I'm sure you can tell, the bipod. You may get good results with it. I personally, like the guys and girls say all across the world, no matter what the gun is, it can be a 600 pounds Viararc or something like that, or a Theoban break barrel Sirocco or something like that. You put a bipod on there, it is not going to shoot well. It's there, I think, mainly for looks and the cool factor, which, if we're being honest, it does well at doing. It is a very cool looking rifle, in my opinion. I'd change that, or just not really change it, but just take it off. Or if you want to use it in a hunting scenario or dusk sort of plinking scenario, you could put, say, a torch on the end there and, say, a laser on the other side. That is pretty cool. The other thing I'd change is, and I'm sure you all can see this coming, is the trigger. Don't get me wrong, it is better than the Tracker Hunter, but it's still a bit, not stiff, but it's got a bit of a long pull. It's slightly notchy. Again, the rifle's had very little pellets through it, so it's not run itself in just yet. It's not shot itself through. But it is quite notchy as standard, and it's also not adjustable. It's not terrible. I've definitely shot worse triggers, but it's not a strong point of the rifle. But again, a rifle of £165 with all this kit that's built into it and extra features, there has to be a weak link somewhere. And again, it could run itself in once you put a few hundred shots through there. Other than that, the only little niggle that I have, but I'm sure many people will be able to look around it, and as silly as it looks, I don't like warnings on stocks. I know it's a silly thing for me to say, really, because I'm sure there's many rifles out there that are the same, but I do not like that. Personally, I prefer it how Virarc does it and how the Remington rifles do it. They have it in a little disclosure thing up in the corner here, like do not stick tongue over barrel to test if loaded or not, unless in need of emergency tongue piercing, things like that, or Virarc, which has them further along the barrel just up here. Yeah, but that's pretty much, off the top of my head, the only negatives I can come to. The only thing that also might be worth considering is it is quite a long gun. If I just pan back a bit here, it is a very long gun, one of the longest I think I've shot. It might even rival the Tracker Hunter that we reviewed the other day. And I've got pretty long arms. I'm 6'5", 6'6"-ish, so I can reach around and I can cock it. But if you've got slightly shorter arms, even cocking it could be a slight issue. But the actual, again, only because of the length, the actual cocking effort is really small. It's really light. Anybody could do it. The only real time you need a tiny little bit of effort or positive motion is to actually bring the barrel back up, because she's got a very solid lock up in there, which is, of course, over the years will be a very good thing. You'll be happy to have that. But overall, yeah, I can. If you're into target shooting and such, I can recommend the Target Master. Again, you will have to bear the trigger in mind, but that could work itself in after a few shots, and I know there's tinkerers out there that can get the absolute best out of them. I can recommend it definitely for target shooters. Backyard plinkers will absolutely love it because just for the way it looks. It is a very fun rifle to shoot, and comfortable as well with that cheek piece and just the way that the gun feels. Would I recommend it for hunting? If you can get rid of those flyers, yes, which I'm sure you can do. As I said, I was shooting it. It's a fairly gusty day, and in this farm around here, it gets a bit like a Venturi tunnel. It gets a bit gusty. If you can eliminate those flyers, easy, no problem at all. No problem at all. But as it stands at the minute, like I say, until I can get rid of those flyers, I couldn't fully recommend it for hunting. But if you can, absolutely, it's an absolutely a diamond in the rough, especially at this price. If you can do that, you've got an incredibly accurate rifle. But no, that's it. I hope you're happy with this, mate, for this review, this request that you had in. I've covered it as in depth as I can. Next up, we do have another request, which is the Artemis P15 rifle, which we will be doing as soon as possible. Scott, if you're watching this one, we will crack on with it as soon as we can. And once again, guys, thanks for watching. Leave any comments down below if there's any rifles you want to see us review. If there's any criticisms you have of the videos, we'll see if we can get them rectified ASAP. Thanks for watching, everyone, and take care.